At some point in time, we've all been sitting there going through a fat loss phase and trying to figure out, am I actually making progress? So today, me, Tiarai Bryce, I'm going to be going through some of the best ways you can see if you're actually losing body fat, going through the different current methods you can do, going through the best ones and going through the worst ones and letting you know which ones might be best in your current situation. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Tiarai Bryce. I've been training for 5.5 years doing hybrid training, both doing MMA, running, bodybuilding, and overall prioritizing my health in every single way. I've been at 20% body fat. I've been at 9% body fat. And currently, as of right now, I'm cutting down to 9% body fat. Let's go. Now, number one, the scale. This can be extremely good for you, especially if you're starting from a much larger point and you're wanting to measure every single pound that you are losing. Now, I will say this. When it comes down to the short term, this isn't the most ideal thing that you can measure. Of course, over the time span of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe even 5 to 6 months, this is going to be one of the best things you can do when it comes down to measuring if you're losing body fat or overall losing weight especially. But when it comes down to the short term, looking at the scale every day, every second day, every third day, and measuring your progress off that, that's when problems occur. This is because when it comes down to weight that your body loses, it comes out from more than just fat. It comes down to water weight. It comes down to carbohydrate intake. And at the end of the day, you might have a really big high carb meal the night before. And let's just say that night before you weighed 90 kilos. And then the night after you might weigh 92 kilos. And in your mind, theoretically, you have just gained 2 pounds of fat. However, we both understand that that is not the case because again, water weight and your overall weight can fluctuate a lot. So the scale, it's good, but at the end of the day, it's something that should be only used on the longer time frame. Now, number two, progress photos. Me personally, this again is something that shouldn't really be used over a short time span, but on the long time frame, this is what showcases if things are actually working. So if you were to reflect on maybe taking a progress photo, let's say you take a progress photo on March 1st, right? This is when you take progress photo number one. And then you're like, 3 days later, I wonder if I've actually made some progress. Let's say you're in a calorie deficit, you're doing all the things right. So 1, 2, 3, so 3 days later, so that's going to be March 4th, right? Those two photos aren't going to be very, very different. Unless you've gotten a tan, unless you've gone ahead and you've absolutely depleted yourself, then the difference between these two things isn't going to be very substantial. However, if you were to take the exact same concept, so March 1st, but you wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however long, let's just say this time span is around about 2 months. So again, 2 months is much more than just 3 days. Then at the end of the day, March 1st, that would equate to June 1st. This progress photo, compared to that one, will be very, very significant if you are doing all the things correctly and you are actually in a calorie deficit. So when it comes down to it, just as it is with the scale, progress photos is something that is very, very good when it comes to seeing progress because again, you have a very visual image and you can do a good contrast. If you are wanting to lose X amount of pounds on the 1st of March, you can easily reflect back on it on the June 1st and see if it actually has worked or not. Because if it hasn't, you'll be able to tell just by the photos. Now, when it does come down to it, progress photos, I would rate that at a very, very good 9, maybe even 9.5 out of 10 because again, people care about what they see when it comes down to the visual side of things. A lot of people wouldn't really care if the scale's going down, but their progress photos and their overall body doesn't look any different. That's a completely different conversation compared to if the scale isn't changing, but their overall photos look better. That's what people care about. They care about the visual effects and the visual progress that's actually being made. Now, option number 3, body scans. Again, this is pretty much a scale, but it goes ahead and you pretty much stand on a platform, you hold onto these two different handles, and then it tells you your lean mass, your body fat percentage, and muscle mass overall. I've seen countless videos, and even tried this myself, where people use this and they determine whether or not they've actually made progress by doing so. Again, maybe they try a DEXA scan on Jan 1st, and it says they are 22% body fat. Right, theoretically. They stay in a calorie deficit, they do all the right things, hypothetically, and then on March 1st, they are at supposedly 18 to 16% body fat, right? So that means in between the time span of 3 months, they have lost 6% body fat. Now, of course, that could be true, but again, when it comes down to it, and I'll show you a photo of what I looked like. I did one of these scans when I was 17, right? This is what the photo looked like. However, my DEXA scan and body scan told me that I was 6% body fat. Let me just show you what 6% body fat actually looks like. That's what 6% looks like. This is what I look like. Again, they're very, very different. Now, I will say, DEXA scans and body scans, they are fucking incredibly inaccurate, and I would not recommend using them. Of course, when it comes down to the general scale, it can be very, very useful, but when it comes down to body fat percentages, it is very inaccurate. But at the end of the day, the overall broad side of things directly says that body scans are horrible when it comes to measuring your exact body fat percentage. So when it comes down to it, I would probably rate this at maybe a 5 or 4 out of 10. Now, method number 4, personal changes. You might be wondering, what is personal changes? What does this mean? Well, personal changes is you analyzing your body, because we all get to look at our own bodies every single day. And if you are able to vividly see differences, like for me, for example, if I were to reflect back on my abdomen and what that looked like back in January, there is a very, very big difference compared to what it looks like right now. Now, that just comes down to me looking at my body fat, looking at my body and saying, hey, I've got some more veins now. Maybe I look a little bit more leaner. Maybe my muscle fibers are showing a little bit more. That just comes down to me noticing my personal changes. Again, personal changes. And when it comes down to training people, like training my clients, for example, through my community and one-to-one coaching, we always like to go off personal changes. If the person feels they are seeing change, they are feeling more muscle underneath their skin, they are seeing more fibers come through, they're seeing their body fat and veins come through as well, then by all means, this is going to be one of the best things, and this is what people pay for. They want to see personal changes. This is what people work for. They want to see vivid changes in their physique and vivid changes in all the hard work that they are doing. So when it comes down to it, personal changes, this is the last out of all the general ones that I would recommend. And at the end of the day, this is probably the most important one. Again, people just want to see visual changes. Hence why progress photos are an absolute yes. Hence why personal changes are an absolute yes. And when it comes down to it, the general measurements, of course, these can be somewhat useful. But again, body scan, pretty much a no when it comes down to estimating body fat percentages. And the scale is a yes when it comes down to the long term, right? So when it comes down to it, progress photos, that is great. You can take photos and you can have a very vivid contrast. Personal changes. If you are able to analyze your body and be very, very astute and hyper-analyzing every single change that is going through your body, then by all means, that's going to be a really good way to actually measure progress. And then finally, body scans, don't even talk to me about them. They are extremely inaccurate. And in the scale, this is very good on the longer time frame. If you're measuring yourself and estimating your progress after only 2 to 3 days, then by all means, this isn't going to be the best thing for you. But if your main goal is fat loss and you measure yourself one date and then 3 months later you measure yourself again and there's weight being lost, then again, that's a really good way to measure things. Of course, when it comes down to it, achieving all these different things, they require a plan. They require you to actually put actions in place and actually take action on those actions. So if you are in a position where you're wanting to A, drop the scale, B, improve your progress photos, and see personal changes, then by all means, I have a community linked down below. You can go in there, join up. I will make you a custom training plan that is suited for you. Or if you want the best experience possible and want one-to-one time with me at every single opportunity, then by all means, my one-to-one coaching will be down in the description as well. But with that being said, hopefully you guys found this video nice and useful, and I'll see you in the next one.